Hello fellow electronic gadget users. I'm going to do a review of this thing I bought off AliExpress. I bought it from this seller here, Pop3C Dropping Store, because it was the best price. It's an 8-port USB charging dock. You know, I have 2 tablets, a phone, video camera, power banks, and it just gets to be a cluster of junk, you know, on my table. So I thought this would help arrange them, but I'm curious if the power on these things actually is true or not. You know, there's supposed to be some high output, ports. So they have multiple sizes: 4 ports, obviously 6 ports, 8 ports, and the dimensions and all that stuff. So you can pick the plug and all that stuff as well. Okay, so AliExpress, you can just search for that. I'm sure it's on eBay as well. You know, pretty much everything on eBay and AliExpress are identical. It's just that eBay charges like 10-20% because sellers have to pay, you know, the selling fee and also sometimes a sales tax. And then you, the buyer, has to pay a sales tax. What's going on with all this sales tax? It's really annoying. I find it annoying that governments can tax used products that have paid tax again. So basically, governments can just freely tax stuff for infinity. It really annoys me. Okay, so this thing came in a black plastic bag. I took that off, and then here we are. So Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0. This is a sticker, so I don't know if that's a new feature. And then here we go with the ports here. So the green ports are the 3.0 fast charge, and then we have a 1 amp or 2.4 amps. You know, so there we go. There's just a regular X6 version that's all the 2.4 amps, it seems, but this one is checked off as X6S. Alright, let's see if we got what we ordered. This is supposed to have cables in it as well, because I want to see if the cables that came with this option are actually worth owning, or if it's better to just buy your own cables. You know, a lot of cables, they don't run thick copper wires, so they overheat, or they're simply incapable of running, you know, high currents. Let's get this out. Alright, very simple instructions. I don't think this is rocket science. You plug it in, and then you plug in some USB cables, so not much need for that. These are little separators to help vertically align things, so it takes up less space, theoretically. This is wrapped in foam. Let's get this out of this foam here. A lot of stuff, you know, from mainland China is not safety certified, meaning that's the kind of stuff that short circuits and burns your house down. So this one apparently is safety certified. CE, ROSE, FCC, and I forget what these two are. But anyways, it seems like it hopefully will not catch on fire, right? This one is particularly running, well, you can run this in any country. It runs either 100 to 240 volts, so there's a switching power supply inside this thing. The cable choice is really just for your convenience. So I run in a 220 volt environment, but I prefer US style plugs because I find them to be the most stable. They don't fall out of sockets as easily, and or they're not as bulky as the crazy UK 3-pronged ones. You know, those are very secure, but they're very huge. So the US plug for me works out. Alright, it even says the specs of those particular ports. There's a nice silicone rubber, it feels like, feet here. So very high grip, it's not going to just move around. Obviously some venting to suck air from the bottom. There's an on-off switch here. The typical power connector there, I forget which one that was called. And yes, I did get what I ordered, 3 green and 5 reds. Although this one is only 1 amp. Quality control pass, hopefully that actually meant something. And this is a nice satiny finish. It's not, it feels almost like it's sprayed with rubber paint. It has a tackiness to it. It's not smooth like plastic. It feels like it's rubber, but obviously it is plastic, so it might actually be coated with a rubber paint. Okay, let's get a different angle here, a little bit better. So I'm going to plug this into a power outlet. And let's get a couple of these separators on here, see how durable these might be. So it's nice that they came with this plastic film to keep them from getting scratched, but I can already tell I think this is that very brittle ABS type of plastic. They'll crack easily. If you watch my model reviews, it's the same type of plastic I think as like the plastic windows of die-cast cars. Not Hot Wheels, those are very durable. I'm talking about like the premium ones. They're clear, but would crack very easily. I apologize, there seems to be a blister on my hand. I had a flat tire on my car, so I had to plug it, and I guess I got a blister plugging up the hole. Alright, so these are pretty straightforward. These are not very, well, they are very loose, right? So that's kind of weak. You would think that they would design these to be a little bit more tight as far as the friction goes. But then again, it's not like you're gonna use this upside down. Alright, so I'm gonna undo all these cables. I'm gonna come back with all these things. But actually, before that, let's at least count how many cables there are. 1, 2 micro connectors, a lightning connector, a regular type C, a second lightning connector, another micro, and then so we have 2 type C's, 2 lightnings, and then 3 of the old school micro. Oh, there's a 4th one, sorry. 3 lightnings. Is that everything? Okay, that makes sense, right? 3, 3, 2, that's 8 plugs. So, alright, let me come back. Okay, I undid all the cables, put the little dividers in there. Interesting note, all the micro C's and type C's had, you know, they were folded up like this. But the 3 lightning cables were just like that. So I'm gonna guess maybe these cables are more sensitive or something. And also, I don't know if these are gonna transmit data or on any of these. I kind of doubt they would transmit data because it would cost a lot more, I think. Alright, let's plug in some stuff. Let's turn this thing on here. You know, interesting that there's no light. That's what's going on here. Well, there's no light on there. This is plugged in to, oh, so that's a little sketchy right there. This plug, oh, okay, never mind. You have to push it in really far. I think it was getting held up. There's actually a lip here. The case has a hole, but then the plug is recessed, so that's actually a different surface. And so I don't think they're perfectly aligned, those pieces. So you basically want to make sure the entire groove vanishes. I was doing this because it was spotting me out, but push it all the way in. Okay, so there we have the power on light. Alright, let's plug in some stuff here. So I'll first start with this tablet. I have a Samsung tablet here. And then this thing is running the Type-C connector. Now, I should plug it into the Quick Charge 3.0, but it's going to block the camera view. You know what? Maybe I'll just hold that off for last. Let's start with some 2.4 amp stuff. Let's just try this little Huawei tablet instead. And this I have a magnetic connector, so I'm going to just put it in upside down. Sorry, I'm not wearing a shirt here. It's the tropics. I live in the tropics, so I very often run around my house or my apartment with no shirt on. But pretend I'm at the beach, you know, and that's perfectly socially acceptable. I'll try to have this go off there. Alright, so it is charging. Now, I'm going to start doing some tests here in a second. I have some amperage meters. I bought these off AliExpress. Essentially, what you do is you plug this into a USB port, and then you plug your device or your cable into this side, and it'll tell you what current is running through it. So let's see. Oh boy. It's going to have to go upside down. But we'll try it. We'll try with this one first. Alright, so now let's see what this thing says. .504U, I don't know what that means. 0.36 amps, 0.46 amps. Oh, I think this is a poorly labeled product. I think there's a decimal right here. So I think that's 5.06 volts, 5.07 volts, and then this is 0.19 amps. Yeah, so there's a decimal, but it's covered up by the printing itself. So that's not very smart, right? Weird. Alright, well anyways, we know that this is fully charged, so it's not pulling much current. But I just wanted to introduce that because this tablet, the large tablet, is only 60% charged. So let's try this one. So this thing's at 60%, so it should probably pull a full charge through it. So I'm going to plug this in here. And now I'm going to put this into the quick charge 3 port, and let's see how much amperage is getting sucked through this guy. 1.5 amps, 5.14 volts. So the voltage should always be around 5 because these are all USB devices which runs at 5 volts. It's the amperage that we want to really look at. That's the amount of actual current that's driving through, and so the more amperage, the more, the quicker you're charging. So 1.5 amps. That could possibly be a limitation of this tablet itself. I don't really own a device that would suck 3 amps. That's a lot. 3 amps will kill a human being, so I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I can't test that. I apologize. Let's see here. So now I'm going to take this same tablet and I'm going to swap the cable out. So if this was around 1.5 amps, I have a different cable I bought off AliExpress. This one literally has an orange connector. It's supposed to be a higher amperage draw, but again, it might be the tablet itself that only pulls 1.5 amps. But let's see if it does go up. This cable is supposed to be able to pull 6 amps, which I question. I really do. .7 amps. Okay. 7.5 volts. That makes no sense. Alright, well, it does seem like the cables does make a difference. And what that means is these cables that come with it don't have as much of a copper content. So these simply can't run as much power through them. If you're trying to charge stuff very fast and you're doing it often, what this makes me conclude is you should probably buy your own cables, because there is an option on that website or a lot of the listings for this product to not buy it with cables. So you can save money on these mediocre cables and buy high amperage cables so you can charge stuff faster. Okay, well, that's interesting to learn. It kind of makes sense though. I mean, this is rated to be a higher power cable and it costs a lot of money compared to these things, which are pretty cheap when you buy it with this thing. I'm not angry at this brand or anything really, just an observation really. Alright. So these walls, they're so loose, I find that to be annoying. I barely touched that and it kind of wanted to fall out. What I'm trying to do is set up a bunch of stuff here. I have a feeling this is going to break. I don't think these walls are going to be very durable. You can just see that wall flexing quite a bit. I feel like this needs to be thicker plastic. In fact, let me tell you how thick this is because I conveniently hold some calipers next to my photo booth here. 1.85 millimeters. Yeah, this, I would say this plastic should be 3 to 5 millimeters because this tooth is real. These two small teeth are really what's supporting all this weight, you know, and this is such a brittle plastic. I'm pretty positive these are going to crack off, and then I'm going to have to fish out the piece outside of the slot. So obviously you want to be careful, you know, if you have a really tall object, really heavy, you probably don't want to put your tablet in like this. This will definitely break, right? So you want to keep the center of gravity of your electronic devices as low as possible, and preferably try to push it up flush against the wall so it's not actually leaning against it very much. But I have a feeling I'm gonna have to modify this thing and build stronger walls somehow. Ooh, I already know the answer. This some plastic you can buy that's they come in little rice pellets. They look like rice pellets, and you can boil them in water, and then you can mold them when they're hot, and when they cool they become super hard plastic. I think it's called like boy, I forget, it eludes me. Some sort of heat moldable plastic, and it's remoldable infinitely. Alright, so let's get another one up here. One thing I do like about these cables is they're relatively short, as you can see. So they're not going to create a lot of clutter, unlike this magnetic cable I have here. I'm just going to plug it into the low amperage one, since it doesn't matter. I just don't think these tablets are pulling 3 amps. Maybe 1.5, 2 amps at the most. Alright. Lightning. I borrowed someone else's iPad here. Not really a fan of Apple. Don't like how they force you to do stuff their way, and their way isn't as efficient as other ways. So let's see what the 5 volts makes sense. 1.35 amps through the standard cable. That seems okay. This thing is at 86%, so it's not trying to probably pull as much power as it wants to, you know, in a low charge state. Okay. Let's see if I have... Did a review of this thing. This Nightcore battery is pretty awesome. I do like it. This thing holds 5,000 milliamp hours. And then this one port either charges this battery, or you feed out and it recharges something else. It's a power bank as well. So this one's actually charged already, so yeah, so naturally thicker things you're probably going to want to remove a wall. This is so loose. Alright, so that's not so great, the looseness of it. And then I got my DJI. Let's see, a little power bank here. For portability, I like these little 18650 power banks. And if you're curious, you know, an 18650 might hold like 2200, 2300 milliamps, but this case itself is making it a lot larger. So if you're curious what these things really look like, this cell, you can buy these things for like $1.50. This plastic piece, you know, that's had the big, there's a power bank. So this is an 18650 cell. This is the Nitecore 5000 cell. So you can just see the difference here. Right. So this thing has twice the capacity as this, but it's not 2 times as big, I don't think. You know, if you took 2 of these cells next to each other, I don't know, maybe it is the same, 'cause it's an illusion with the fact that this is a circle. But one interesting thing about this Nitecore battery is there's a positive and negative on both sides. So that's why you'll notice it's just a rubber band on this side. The positive and negative are here, and so it's only interacting with this side or this side. Alright. But an 18650 is the traditional way. Positive here, I've even marked it so it doesn't short circuit, and then this is negative. The outer casing is negative. So it's nice to see advancements in battery technology. So they're roughly the same when you add this case around it, but again, twice as much capacity. That's why Nitecore, I like that brand. They are innovators. Yeah, alright, it's charging. Okay, well, I think you get the idea. You can obviously charge 8 devices, maybe even more with the splitter cables, because if this thing can actually pull 3 amps out of this connector, these first 3 connectors, if you have a cable split, a split cable, but I've never seen a high amperage split cable. When I say split cable, like a Y cable, you know, where it would have one USB on one end and then it splits to a Y with 2 connectors. Unfortunately, I don't have one here, so I can't tell you. Alright, well, you saw the listing. If you want to rewind back, the product showed up safely, and it seemed to work. I think these cables are acceptable. I'm in no like speed race to charge my equipment, you know. I just come home, I let it charge for a few hours, and that works fine for me. I don't really need to have these more expensive high amperage cables. I just bought it just to see if there actually is a difference, and there does seem to be a difference. So alright, well, hopefully this review helped you guys out, and naturally you can also buy smaller capacity ones. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully I'll catch you in the next electronics gadget review. Bye.